Today, we're going to dive into the world of literature and decode 10 absolutely essential terms. Once you master these, I promise, you'll unlock a whole new level of understanding in pretty much every book you read. So, let's get right into it.
Does this sound familiar? Yeah, maybe a little too familiar, right? These are the exact kinds of questions that pop up in English class, and you know what? They can be kind of confusing. But don't you worry, we are about to make them crystal clear.
Okay, so think of this as your official mission briefing. We're about to go on a journey together. The goal? To transform you from just a passive reader into an active literary detective, someone who can spot all the clues and uncover the deeper meaning that's hiding in any story.
Now, every good detective needs a toolkit, right? And that is exactly what we are building today. These terms, they're the specialized tools you're going to use to investigate and really analyze any narrative you come across.
So let's go ahead and open it up. It's really important to see these not just as vocabulary words you have to memorize for a test. No. Think of them as practical, powerful tools. Each one helps you unlock a totally different layer of the story.
Let's start with the absolute fundamentals, the core blueprint of any story. These first few tools, we're talking theme, plot, character, and setting, they are the essential building blocks. Get these down and you're well on your way.
First up is theme. Now, it is so easy to confuse theme with plot. The plot is simply what happens in a story, right? The sequence of events. But the theme is the big idea or the message behind all those events. It's the so what of it all.
Let's take The Hunger Games. The plot is about a deadly televised competition, but the story's themes are way deeper, right? They're about things like survival, the dangers of government control, and the real meaning of sacrifice. See the difference? Okay, let's move on to plot. This is the sequence of events, the actual skeleton that holds the entire story together. And you know what? It almost always follows this classic 5-step structure. You've got the setup, then the buildup of tension, the big turning point, the aftermath, and finally, the conclusion.
Next up, character. How do we get to know them? Well, authors use two main techniques. There's direct characterization, which is when the author just straight up tells you she was brave. But honestly, the much more powerful method is indirect characterization, where the author shows you her bravery through her actions, her words, and her choices.
A perfect example of this is Atticus Finch. Harper Lee never has to write, "Atticus is a good man." She doesn't need to. We see his morality and his fairness in his unwavering decision to defend Tom Robinson, even when it's incredibly difficult and unpopular. The author shows us, she doesn't just tell us.
And the final piece of our story blueprint is setting. This is so much more than just a backdrop. It's the entire world of the story. I mean, think about the dystopian, oppressive world of 1984. That setting isn't just a place, it's practically a character in itself, creating this mood of constant fear and driving the whole conflict forward.
Okay, with the blueprint established, our detective work can get a little more advanced. Now we're looking for the hidden clues, those subtle techniques that authors use to add layers of depth and meaning. This is the fun part.
At the heart of every great story is conflict, that central struggle. And this struggle can take a whole bunch of forms. Sure, a hero might fight a villain, but they could also battle their own inner demons, or a corrupt society, or even just the brutal forces of nature.
Now for a classic detective tool. Symbolism. This is when a simple, physical object is used to represent a huge, abstract idea. It's a way for authors to pack a ton of meaning into just a single image.
The conch shell in Lord of the Flies is one of the most famous examples of this, ever. On the surface, it's just a shell, right? But in the story, it represents rules, democracy, the entire structure of civilization. So when that conch shell breaks, we know that civilization has broken too. That's the real power of a symbol.
Next, we have foreshadowing. I love this one. These are like the little breadcrumbs the author leaves behind for the reader. They're subtle hints and clues about what's going to happen later, and they build suspense and make the ending feel so earned and inevitable when you look back.
Irony. This one can be tricky because it actually comes in three main flavors. You've got verbal irony, which is basically sarcasm. Then there's situational irony, which is when the outcome is the complete opposite of what you'd expect. And finally, dramatic irony. This is when we, the audience, are in on a secret that the characters aren't, which creates incredible tension.
All right, for a final section, we're moving into the Master Analyst tools. These two concepts are all about perspective and feeling, and they really allow for the most nuanced, expert-level understanding of a text.
Point of view, or POV, it's all about who is telling the story. Is it a character inside the story, using I, giving us a really personal, maybe even biased account? Or is it some outside narrator who sees everything? Believe me, the choice of narrator changes everything about the story we experience as readers.
Okay, let's clear up two ideas that get confused all the time: tone and mood. Here's the simple difference. Tone is the author's attitude. Are they being sarcastic or serious or maybe critical? Mood, on the other hand, is the feeling the story creates in you, the reader. For example, an author could use a really frantic, nervous tone to create a super suspenseful mood for you. So we've unboxed our entire toolkit, we have 10 powerful tools, and they're ready to go. But the really crucial question is, what can we now do with them? What's the point? And this is why it all matters. With these skills, you can go so far beyond the surface of a story. You'll start to understand the author's hidden messages, you'll be able to articulate your ideas with total confidence in essays and discussions, and you'll just develop a much deeper appreciation for the art of storytelling itself.
And that is the big takeaway here. By learning to recognize theme and symbolism and irony and all these other elements, you have fundamentally changed your relationship with books. You've graduated. You are now officially a literary detective.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Take a second and think about the last book or story you read. Can you put your new skills to the test right now? I bet you can find at least two of these tools at work. Happy investigating.